If you're really into small tournament poker, maybe start with multi-table sit and goes and then build slowly bankroll. And then once you feel more comfortable with multi-table sit and goes, add in a few more small field tournaments, especially when you can commit 4, 5, 6 hours. Then it would be definitely worth it also to adding a few small field tournaments later on. Bankroll building and bankroll management are very essential when it comes to starting off with poker. And in this video today, I'm going to share my tips on what kind of games you want to pick. And I'm also going to share some advice for bankroll management.
I'm only burning my half.
But before we're going to jump into my, let's say, list of top four formats for building bankroll or for building your bankroll, I want to share just a quick overview of what you need to consider when it comes to picking your game. Of course, rake and rake back. And here you might need to take some time to compare certain sites, to dive a little deeper into the rake structures. But let me say that already here, usually all games that I'm going to be mentioning now, you can be found on Party Poker and Pokerstars with decent traffic, with don't attack me for that, but decent rake back might not be as high as it used to be anymore, but they're at least beatable, right? If you hate the rake, if you hate poker, if it's rigged, then yeah, get the fuck out of here. Then this is not your channel. So rake and rake back and do your research, of course. It might take some time, but it might be worth it. But you will find all games I'm going to be mentioning on the, let's say, biggest sites on the market. Number 2 is the complexity of the game. Before you pick your game, you really want to make sure that you don't start with heads up.
It's a terrible play.
Players up.
Is that all you want to do is challenge me to heads up?
Even though it's fun, it's a lot of action. If you really want to take it serious and you kind of want to become a professional, you want to invest your time and money wisely. So you don't necessarily want to go ahead and compete with the big players, because heads up players are very tough opponents. Even though if you play against recreations, they have already more experience than you. They might be already more familiar with dynamics. It's tougher than you think. So if you get into it, if you get an idea how heads up works with the ranges and post flop, then it's definitely worth it also playing heads up. I'm not saying don't play heads up, but if you're just a beginner, heads up can be very frustrating because you play a lot of weak hands, a lot of weak holdings, and yeah, you're going to be in a lot of let's say spots that you don't necessarily feel comfortable with. Constantly having ace high, king highs, queen highs, second, third pairs, and the pots are relatively big. And the third point is variance. Therefore, hypertopos and topers should also be avoided. You want to select games that have slow structures, soft structures, where usually tight or playing tight is rewarded. So topos, hypertopos, please stay away from it. Heads up also, by the way, for heads up also counts for 6 max. It's a little bit different. I think you can play 6 max, but if you can avoid it, then also avoid 6 max. Start with full ring. I know it's boring, but here we're here for making money and not for crazy fucking action. No, we want to take it serious. We treat it like a business. Also keep in mind that certain sites might not be available in your country due to some legal restrictions. You have 2 options. You play another site or you don't play at all. No, actually 3 options. And the third one is leaving the country. This might sound very easy here, of course, in theory. And for some, it's not that easy just leaving the country. But if it's an option, if you have put some money aside and you're already debating for a while, why not give it a try if you have a decent backup plan? That's all I can say here. Number 4 on my list would be low stakes sit and goes. Usually you start with around 50 to 75 big blinds. Usually you have 9 players on one table. Blinds increase, yeah, should be around 10 minutes. Shouldn't be like 5 minutes or 3 minutes. This would be way too fast. So try to avoid these turbo and hyper turbo games. Advantages, they're very soft. recreationals love playing sit and goes. Just sit down, left, right, chase some draws, bang, bam, boom, punt your stack away, and that's it. So you will find some very weak opponents, and early game is actually quite easy to learn. It's a very, very tight approach. You simply just try to make some good hands, get it in good. There's not much bluffing happening because there are already some ICM implications. So you're not going to make a lot of money with bluffing. So especially for those of you who like the tight approach, who like to play slow and wait for good hands, not playing slow, but once you have a good hand, you go crazy, of course. But this is not necessarily the most attractive style of playing, but it can be the most profitable. And also, you're not going to be playing 100 big blinds, 75 big blinds, or 50 big blinds. They don't play 100 big blinds at all, so makes it also easier for you. You're not going to be overwhelmed by playing a deeper stack size. Disadvantages also, of course, the rake. Here you have to do some research. I can give you an example for Pokerstars. $1.50 6 max rake speed, 14% rake, $1.29 goes to the prize pool, and 21-cent rake. That's very heavy. $3.50, it's already decreases to 10.5% rake. $3.13 goes into the prize pool, and 37 cents rake. $7 already $9.15, 9.15% rake. $6.39 is the rake, and 61 cents. $6.39 goes into the prize pool, and 61 cents rake. So total $9.15 for the $7, and so on and so forth. You can do your own research there. However, the games are very soft. I would advise to be a little bit more aggressive with the bankroll management on $1.50s. I'll come to the bankroll management in a second. One of the second disadvantage is for sure ICM, especially when you're new to poker. You might not really understand what's going on. I remember for me it was quite tough to understand it.
What is that? What the fuck is that?
I have to say here that ICM is a concept that definitely needs some time to look into it, but it's not that you need to study it for years. If you spend some time, a couple of days, to read into the concepts of ICM, you get an idea, you understand what it is, and then you can already start applying it. So don't worry that it's going to take you weeks and months to study ICM until you understand what it is. It takes constant studying and practicing to get your ranges better and to be more precise what hands to push and call, of course. But the core principle, the core understanding of ICM will come quite fast. A couple of days, some thorough studying will do the job. So if you have $100, you should move up to the $3.50s as fast as possible. I think $175 as threshold for moving up to the $3.50s is quite good. This will make sure that you're not getting too aggressive with your bankroll management, and then you have a good puffer, or you have a good room to maneuver with your bankroll. If you fall below 100, again, you move down ASAP, like right away. You're not going to make any excuses. I'm going to take a few more shots until until 80, then I'm going to move back to the 150s. No, don't start with that bullshit. Make a strict bankroll management plan. Already plan a few stakes ahead. So when I'm gonna be moving up for the $3.50s, when am I gonna be moving up for the $7.50s, and so on and so forth. And once you hit these thresholds, you hold on to them no matter what. Don't let your emotions come into play. Especially when we're getting crashed, our little ego likes to come up and tell you, you're actually better, you actually deserve to stay on these limits, you should stay there, and then your bankroll is gone very soon. Believe me, guys, if I would have the opportunity to show you my DMs, you can't believe how many messages I receive where people actually grind their way up from $1 to $3,000, $5,000, and then they lose it all in a few days because they just get completely delusional. So stay away from that. Number 3 on my list would be multi-table sit and goes. Similar to 6-max or 9-max sit and goes, early game is a little easier. You also play very tight. You wait for good hands to put in your money good. There's no ICM at all, or very, 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 very little. So you can basically neglect it. Good format not to only build a bankroll, but also to prepare yourself eventually for your for your tournament career, since it's the closest format to multi-table tournaments. Disadvantages: it takes a little longer. Plan for like 1 to 3 hours. So if you just want to play 30 minutes, there's 1 hour sessions. The good thing with sit and goes, you can open a few tables, make a 30 minute session, 45-minute session. That's not really possible with multi-table sit and goes. So after your work or school or college, you definitely need to commit 1 to 3 hours with warm-up, with cooldown, maybe even 4 hours to have a proper multi-table sit and go session. Also, you want to load a few more tables. So if you start registering a few tables and you bust in 1 or 2 tournaments early, you want to open up a few more tables. So yeah, probably 1 to 3 hours is what you need to plan with. And also depends whether you play 18 man or 45 man, of course. If you play 45 man sit and goes or 90 man sit and goes, it might even take longer. Also, variance is higher in 6 mix and 9 mix sit and go. Definitely a disadvantage here. If you don't really want to get fucked from variance at the beginning, maybe stick to something that is a little less variance. 9 mix sit and go, full ring, rec speed are a little less variance than multi-table sit and goes. Keep in mind, the bigger the field, the bigger the variance, of course.
There's always a bigger fish.
So for multi-table sit and goes, I would advise to go for more 100 buy-in bankroll management. If you play more often 18 man, you can plan with more like 75 buy-ins. If you play more 45 man sit and goes, you should aim for 100, maybe even 125 buy-ins. Also depends on the structure, depends on how much rake back you get, and on, of course, then on what side you're playing. Small field tournaments are my number 2. We talk about here up to 200. Pros, incredible soft as well, especially when you mix in sites like GG Poker, Winamax, and Party Poker, and not only Pokerstars, especially on other sites. The guarantees aren't so high. Maybe also the rake is a little bit higher, but it's definitely worth it. It's incredible soft. So maybe check it out, take a look, and see if there's something for you. The disadvantages, tournament poker has a lot to do with different stack size. So here it might be a little bit more complex. Also later on you have ICM. So here you often also start with 100 big blinds. So this is something maybe you want to put on hold. So if you're really into small tournament poker, maybe start with multi-table sit and goes, and then build slowly bankroll. And then once you feel more comfortable with multi-table sit and goes, add in a few more small field tournaments, especially when you can commit 4, 5, 6 hours. Then it would be definitely worth it also to adding a few small field tournaments later on, after you feel comfortable and confident in multi-table sit and goes. Jumping right away into tournament poker can be quite devastating. I have heard a lot of stories where people totally underestimated all these different stack size to handle, and then later on ICM they freeze, they get scared, and then they wonder why they're never really able to have a deep run. So I would advise to start something like, could also be cash games, get familiar with post flop, get familiar with ranges, with the dynamics in poker, and then you jump into tournament poker. Something you should definitely keep an eye on later on in your career, but maybe not at the beginning. And for smaller field tournaments, I would also advise at least 150 buy-ins. The variance can be quite insane here. So if you play on average $10 tournaments, you want to have probably around $1,500 to $2,000 bankroll. If you play $5, then of course less. So it's always about your average buy-in. If you play $12 tournaments, $8 tournaments, so your average buy-in is going to be $10, of course. Don't take shots to like, okay, once in a while mix in a $100 tournament. It's not going to hurt my bankroll so much. Stay away from that bullshit. I know Sunday Million might look tempting. No, you stay within your bankroll no matter what. I personally believe that the small field tournaments are one of the most softest formats you will find across all sites. On number 1 though, cash game, full ring cash game, what I believe my favorite when it comes to building bankroll. I think when the small field tournaments wouldn't be also so time committing, because you have to commit maybe 5-6 hours. they would be my favorite because they're very soft. So if you don't have that much time, I would advise you to try out Full Ring Cash Game. It's less complex since there is no ICM at all. You only play one stack size, 100 big blinds. Of course, there might be some mid stacks around, but usually they're recreationals. Tide is right, straightforward. You don't need to do a lot of bluffing with your big stack size. You target recreationals. You try to stay away from regulars, playing small ball poker against regulars, and you're gonna find a lot of recreationals on low stakes. Disadvantage, of course, 100 big blinds can be quite scary. The mistakes can be quite expensive. Also check out the rake. There is a website called rakeback.com where you find more information about the rake on cash games. So make sure to check it out to see and compare it with other sites. Definitely worth it. Sometimes there several poker sites are running some promotions, and here it's definitely worth also checking out some other sites as well. Also be strict with your bankroll management. I would advise for low stakes cash game around 50 buy-ins. This is already quite aggressive. If you want to be a bit more conservative, 75 buy-ins. Yeah, so if you play NL10, you usually start with 10 euros. So you should have a bankroll around 500 euros at least minimum. And if you move up to NL25, you start with 25 euros stack size. So that means you should have, you want to have 50 stacks here as well, at least. So then the threshold would be $1,250 bankroll. And also keep in mind, the higher you move up in stakes, the more you should be increasing your bankroll or the buy-ins for a certain limit. And because the games are going to get tougher, of course, NL50, NL100 is going to get tougher then compared to NL10. Also NL1 cent, NL2 cent, if you really want to grind the micros, same here, 50 buy-ins, maybe already 60 buy-ins for NL10, NL25, maybe 70, 75 buy-ins, and so on and so forth. So add a few more buy-ins if you move up. Also gives you a bit of a polster in case it's not going so well and you're not freaking out. All these formats can be played on Pokerstars Party Poker. So if you really just want to dive in, you want to test the water, you don't really have the time to now check out all the different sites because it takes some time. Don't worry, you can play all these formats on Pokerstars and Party Poker, and they're surely beatable. And even though the rate can be quite high on micro stakes or especially on lower stakes, you still be able to beat them. You find also enough traffic, the sites are safe, the software is user friendly. And if you want to go the extra mile, then do your research. Feel free to join our Discord if you have any more questions also about, because I know we have lots of players from different countries where they might not have access to certain sites, so they have to play on other sites. So come join our Discord. It's for free, and I'm pretty sure more than 16,000 members will find the right game for you. So if you have some questions about a certain site or want to get some tips about some promotions or whatever is going on, I'm pretty sure we're going to be able to help you. That's it for today. Lots of talking, not so much showing, but I definitely that's a topic I wanted to get off my chest because people reach out to me. Hey Ben, I'm not really sure what should I play, these would be my most favorable formats when I would start today. That's literally what I would play. One of these four. I would sit down now, make a list of preferences, and one of these four I would pick. It doesn't mean that I necessarily need to commit to them for the rest of my life, but for start building a bankroll, so that it's a couple of $1,000, that's enough. And then I go from there. I have a solid understanding of foundation of poker, of variance, of bankroll management, and then I can then take the next step on my career later. Lots of misspelling today. I don't know. I just finished the main event. It's actually quite late, but I definitely wanted to get this video out as fast as possible because I'm actually quite surprised on how many people are trying out poker and want to get into poker. So I hope I can help you with that. Also, my last advice here. give it some time. Don't jump around. Like, try out a week sit and goes, then it's not really going well, then I'm gonna try out a bit of cash game for another week. This is bullshit. I don't say you should commit for the rest of the life, but give it at least a few months. All right, no matter how it goes, follow the bankroll management. You might go broke if you play $100, and usually it shouldn't happen, or you might have to reload a bit of money. But really, take your time. You're not gonna turn into a millionaire after a few weeks with poker if you just started playing $1.50 sit and goes. All right, because I get messages where people tell me about their biggest downswings, and then they tell me, yeah, after 10 games or 10 sit and goes, I lost the excitement for sit and goes, and they tell me about the downswing after 10 games. That's not the way it's supposed to be. That's why you should take it slow. If you're one of if in case you have this mentality of quitting too fast or jumping around and not being able to commit for a certain amount of time, then please take my advice here, because otherwise it's not going to work out. You just waste your money, you just waste your time and your energy, and then it's better to move on to something else. Poker isn't for everybody. I don't want to be too delusional here and tell, yeah, poker is for everyone, because there's still some risk, there's still some money management needed, and it might not be for you right now. Maybe later on, when you're a little bit more aware about your money management, when you're a little bit more maybe better or more confident, mature in your mindset and money management, and then it might be the right time. Listen guys, we're playing here for real money, so we want to take it serious. I hope these advices help you. If you have any more questions, feel free to join our Discord. Let me know what you think are the best formats in the comments. Also drop a like, really helps growing the channel. And then see you guys in the next video. Hopefully see you guys in Discord. See you guys.